What's up, everyone? This is Niyi Adewale, host of the Ekabo Home Financial Freedom Mastermind Group. This group meets virtually every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and the members of this group are committed to achieving financial freedom well before the traditional retirement age. So in this podcast, you are going to get VIP access to the conversations we have about different forms of investment and creative ways to get your dollars working harder for you than you originally worked to obtain those dollars. Rahdeem, how you doing, man?
What's going on with you, man?
Hey, not much. Just trying to keep the energy going on this Wednesday, man. It was a long day.
I had a long day at the school. I still kind of work with the kids a little bit in the school. They were just running around today. It was a lot.
What age groups do you work with?
Right now, I'm in a middle school age range. So it could be anywhere between, I can get a kindergarten on my case all the way up to an 8th grader.
That's cool.
Yeah. But these schools felling our kids.
Dude.
Our parents felling the kids and our kids felling like themselves. So I like it though. I think this might be my last year just doing it. Cause I really give out more money than anything. Like I really probably kick out maybe my whole salary just giving back to the kids that, you feel kind of like a little sympathetic through their struggle. So you treat them as if they're your own. So it ain't cheap.
It's true. And honestly, that love that you show is something they're going to remember. When they get older, they're like, man, Rahdeem really looked out for us. And you're right, man. Like when I look at the school system and just like the mindset that a lot of the members of this group and that we talk about and we share is that of financial literacy, of investing, of, hey, how do you give back to the community? And it's one that's not taught in school really anywhere. Like you got to learn that on your own, kind of figure it out, and then come full circle as opposed to getting at least the basics while you're in school.
Yeah, man. That's how the culture is. Like that's how culture is for us to be dependent on somebody. Like even when you're in the schools, they don't teach you how to think outside the box. The creativity going. So they just want you to be in the box and just think a uniform way. And because we're in a privileged position, so to speak, everything is handed to us. It's just like, what's the incentive to work? Like, what's the incentive to be creative? We don't have any, everything there is just enabling us.
It's key. And one of the things I love seeing is when I see a kid that is, because I'm in sales, right? When I see a kid that is doing like candy sales, or they do a lemonade stand or whatever it is, they're making arts and crafts and they're selling it, because that is allowing them to use that creative energy, use that hustle a little bit. And those are the kids that I'm like, okay, they're probably going to take over and be, the next entrepreneur once they get of age at some point. So I like encouraging anytime I see like my nephew right now, he actually used to sell not shea butter, but he sold like hair products via Amazon. And he used to have a business where he would help hook people up for the fire sticks while he was in high school. And I used to just encourage him because it's good to have that hustle in you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's definitely that. I had a kid, 12. He 12 years old. He was a twin. He used to sell poppers. Like he'd be with his dad. His dad actually, he an owner, so he an entrepreneur. So he pick him up in his tow trucks. He ride like he understand the business, and everything this kid do is about money. Like he just be on it, man. I be like, yo, I don't know what you gonna be in life, but I guarantee you. He on it. Like he sell poppers, he sell his dirt bikes. He take my bikes and fix it. He do a lot of little things. Just is in him. He don't care too much about the work, but it don't matter. Like you gonna be something. You gonna be something because you got that spirit in you.
Oh yeah, we don't know what he's gonna be, but successful is gonna be attached to it, right? Just because you got that hustle, and if you're willing to get it and not worry so much about exactly how much you're making, and hey, what all is in it for me, you're going to learn and continue to build along the way.
Yeah, I was listening to somebody. I don't know if you pay attention to their podcast. You probably do.
Who?
The guy Inky Johnson.
So yeah. He has a podcast.
Yeah, Serendipity.
I see all like the clips on Instagram and YouTube. I didn't know he had a podcast. It's called Serendipity.
Yeah. And he there with another person, like maybe somebody who mentored. But he got this question that he asks people. And he say, what's more important? What you obtain or who you become in the process? Like, what's more important? He asked that question, is it more important, like, what you obtain from it, from what you're trying to do, or who you become? And he used this analogy in the storm. He's saying, like, when the storm come, you're never going to be the same, whether good or bad. Like, the storm change was built for that. Like it's built for that. But he pretty much asked them tough questions, like, what's your purpose? The thing that you do in life, are you willing to still do it if there's no reward at the end of it? Meaning, like, pick something that it don't even matter if you fail, if you do anything, like, if the reward incentive is what starts and stops it, he said, man, you're gonna fail. He says that simple, man. But they really get deep, man. It's deep, man. It's all positive. It ain't even it's really, they be putting it down, man.
I can imagine. I've seen some of the videos and the clips, and yeah, if it's anything like his speeches, I'm definitely gonna take a look. And to your point, man, it's trying to find something that you're passionate about. And my whole thing is, I think everybody should work in some type of company at some point in their life, right? I don't think everybody should just be an entrepreneur immediately, right? Because you do learn some lessons around business by working with others, right? And kind of getting that apprenticeship model. That being said, as quickly as you can find your passion, right? Something that, really excites you to where you're working on it, but it doesn't feel like work, you got to try to build your day to bring more of that in, right? Because at the end of the day, you're going to spend a lot of time at work, and you gotta try to find something that you enjoy. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable.
Yeah, you're gonna be miserable. But the trick is, and I used to really tell people. I remember one time I'm like, look, man, yo, get with this real estate. That's what I naturally, get with this real estate, yo, stop doing that, do that. He was like, yo, I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. I'm comfortable with me working. That's what makes me happy. Me getting up. And I had to argue, say, yo, I'm comfortable where I'm at. And they say, see, sometimes when you an entrepreneur, you risk it, it could go either way, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could make $1 million, or you know what I'm saying, you cannot make it, right? But some people who work their whole life and they just good savers, I mean, they can be sitting with they save, they can be sitting with 400,000, 500,000. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, is everybody really personality is not boss like. A lot go into it, like a lot go into it, and that's what I had to realize. Like, it's catered like that.
And I'm 100% with you, because I used to be that way too, pushing real estate on everybody. When I first got excited, because I was pumped about it, I'm like, yo, we got to check out this book, read this podcast. And I quickly realized that exactly what you said, it's not for everybody. And not even that it's not for everybody, but people are in different spaces in their mindset or in their life to where they may not have come around to it. And what I mean by that, right, is I'll give you an example. So one of my guys, right, up in Philly, I talk to him about real estate all the time. Like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm trying to get this, like, you should definitely get into real estate. And he's like, yeah, but what about this, that, and the other? I don't want to put the money in and everything. And it took a while, right? It took a couple bad things happening at work and things of that nature before he finally came around to, like, hey, I need to get something outside of work. And then he came back, and now he's got 3 properties. And I say all that to say that it took some life experiences, right, to get his mindset around, like, hey, investing is important, I should be doing that. And then for others, to your point, if you're able to save your money and invest in a 401k and things of that nature, that could be your path. It could definitely be your path, because there's risks to both. The risk that I see with only focusing on a W-2 or a career path is that they could get acquired tomorrow, or they could say, hey, we're not hitting our numbers this year, we're going to cut some of the staff, and your job could be up. You could get your number called. That being said, you should be able to get another job if you've been building up your resume. And then on the entrepreneur space, right? It's almost like jumping out of a airplane without a parachute. Now you don't have that 401k. You don't have all those benefits. You've kind of got to figure it out, but the upside can be incredible, right?
Yeah.
And once you do figure it out and put systems in place, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, sky's the limit. Sky's the limit, man. I definitely agree, man. It's like I said, it's tricky, man. But the way it's designed, it's like I said, it's systematic all the way around the board, and it's just like my thing is like this, man. I don't care if you like. We all got our different standards of what success might look like. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we got our own definition of what success look like. So like with that being said, is I'm not afraid to fail, because if I fail, I could lift my head held high and say, yo, I tried it. You know, it's not 100%. I remember we was doing our podcast, and you had asked me in a quarter on late, and I wasn't even thinking, and you was like, hey man, you know, during this pandemic with this COVID, you was like, how was the rent? It was in that nature, like how the rent, you know, it was tough in the beginning for you. And I said, not me. I was clicking on all levels. And then when I got off, because I'm trying to figure out how I sound, things like that, and I'm like, I've been through here before, because I was around when a recession first hit and it took everybody out.
In 08. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been around a long time.
I didn't even think about that, because you had some properties before then.
Yeah, I had properties before then, and I had actually lost my job. I think I had my last 20,000. I had my last 20,000. This when I had my everything, like the company match contributions and things like that, it was just going away, and then I got laid off. And what happened was, I think I had the property, the way we set everything up, and this before I like even knew kind of like the trade a little bit. So what happened is, I had a house. I had one house at the time, didn't know the construction business, but the house that I had, it was really for collateral, because I went on a partnership with somebody else. And I was just passing off the rent, you know, because the way that we got the house, it was just the way that we structure out. You know, make a long story short, when I got laid off, I come in a house and I'm looking and I'm like, yo, this is not even fit for a person to live. Now, at this point in time, it's just like, I'm down to my last 20,000. At that time, I thought it was a lot of money, but I realized like that was there. And everybody was quoting me 50,000, 60,000 to do the house, to the point where I had no choice but to learn it. I was in there ripping down labs and everything, didn't even know what I was doing. But seriously, you know what I'm saying? And
because you hadn't done this before that point.
I haven't, the construction part, no. So it's just like, damn, I'm stuck. I just, I got the house now, because it was a deal, like kind of went sideways. I got the house now. And, I started tearing it down, and, I spent all my money, like everything that I did, I spent all my money. I started hiring help, and I didn't have like any money. And by the time I got the house up, we still was in a recession. I was able to, they did this government program where you could refinance the house for a lower interest rate. And at the time when I got the house, I think I had a 7% rate because of the way we did it. Like it was in the family. So I reput to the 5%. And I was down to my last, like my coin. And then, that little $700, because the basement wasn't all the way fixed up. So I did a reduce the $750 here, but it never really came back, but it was slow. I was it was learning. It's like I didn't have anything. And I was in the midst of that. But everybody went down, because everybody went down. A lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people.
Dude, I wasn't in the game at that point. I don't know that actually, well, I definitely knew what was going on, because my fam, like, we ended up being one of the people to lose a house at that time. But yeah, everybody was struggling during 08.
And this was like, even though I didn't quite grasp it, I understood what credit was. See, credit like I said, credit can have you really live beyond your means. Like we banking on the future. So, so during a recession, everybody do the typical business model. Take this loan, get 2, 3, do the X, Y, and Z, do this. But what happened is when this crashed and collapsed, it was just like they couldn't afford it.
And banks were starting to call stuff due, right? Like, hey, if you had an ARM loan, they're not renewing it. They're like, hey, we need the cash.
It's up. People be like, oh, that's when you like, oh, damn, a balloon. Damn, y'all could do that. It was a lot going on. And I'm talking about construction companies across the board. It's just that this time what helped me get through is like I didn't have a lot of loan. It was just good for me. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, it just everything turned around. There was a lot of government help this go around. But if it wasn't a lot of government help with this pandemic, you would have seen a lot more. And you've seen a lot more businesses go down because they was already struggling. You know what I mean? They was already struggling.
It's true.
It's just some opportunities.
I say that it kind of brought back the fundamentals, right? Because for a long time, everything was going up and it's still going up, but it made you refocus, at least for those first 6 months, on, hey, how am I running my numbers? Am I being conservative? Am I keeping enough in reserve? Because I can tell you for the houses in Louisville, I had 25 units and I purchased a couple during that pandemic rush. So I think I had I purchased 8 of those, 7 of those units during 2020. And it was from owners that didn't keep a reserve, right? And so like I wasn't getting paid either. The first 6 months, there was some tenants that really couldn't afford it because they got laid off and, hey, you got to stay at home. And it was crazy, as you know. But there was other professional tenants that were literally moving into a spot and then not paying because the government was going to take care of it. But that means that you're not going to get your money for 6 months because you got to go through the whole eviction process and then they pay you. It was a lot, but because we keep money in reserves, we were able to hold out until we started coming out of it. And now we're getting, that payment back. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's times like this that when there's blood on the leaves and it's times like this and people in distress, it's sad, but these the best times. And that's what I'm saying. We build that pillow so when we hit the bed, we be able to bounce back up. And these some of the times I bought a house. I bought a house right before this COVID happened, and it was a lady. She just was, you could tell she panicked a little bit. She just panicked. She must have been behind, but she cared about credit. This was a 2,500 square foot house, and it was on the market. My realtor comes. She said it's off the market. I know the realtor. What you want to do, 170? And I was just like, I was like on the fence, but my mindset is, if real estate go down, everybody gonna have a tough time.
It's gonna be rough.
I'm gonna go ahead and just do it, and I'm pretty sure whatever come was gonna come. But I was really on the fence because it's just like I wasn't sure. I really wasn't sure. I just didn't get the good feeling. So I said, no, I'm a pass. So she come back and she said, yo, the lady, she really want to sell. If you can do 150, 159 exactly, we can do the deal. She said, you ain't got nobody. This, she just want to leave. I'm telling you, she'll settle on this. So I'm all right, let it roll. I said, let it roll. I bought the house right before. That house is worth I would say 275 as it is right now.
Quickly.
I probably put 5,000 in and putting the bathrooms in there, but that's where I got my co-living situation right now. But right now, if I wanted to sell it right now, 275.
And that's the crazy thing, right? And that's the importance of just being in the game, because you never know what's going to be the home runs or the base hits, but you got to just be in the game. And what this pandemic actually did, because all the money that was poured into the market, is instead of having a crash and foreclosures and things of that nature, the government helped assist people and give forbearance. And so the opposite happened. Instead of crashing, now anybody that owns real estate, it's skyrocketing. And now they're trying to figure out like, hey, how do we raise interest rates to make it just calm down a little bit? But in my mind, again, I think we talked about it before, 40% of the dollars in the market right now were created over the last 18 to 24 months. And so it's got to go somewhere, right? Money doesn't sleep. It's got to be working and going somewhere. And a lot of that's getting poured into real estate, which is making the prices go up. And the main difference with the people that are buying these homes now is back in 08 and back in 07 and before 08, the lending practices were, shady at best, right? You'd say, okay, this person.
Oh yeah, you can get it. You can get it around. I'll tell you. Go
Please.
ahead. I'm gonna tell you a story, right? I ain't gonna put nobody's name out there, but it worked in my favor. But I'm gonna tell you. So it was one house that I bought, right? It was an old mortgage. The mortgage company went out of business.
Really?
The guy come to me. He say, "Listen, we can get title insurance and we can get everything. Is a chance. If you pay me $5,000, we can make the $60,000 tax lien. It'll work in your favor. Like, it was a $60,000 mortgage, old mortgage, but the company went out of business, but it still was attached to the estate. So I said, all right, what's the worst that can happen? I pay him an extra $5,000, but he said, look, I'm not going to guarantee you, but it's 90%. Let me do what I do. Let me tell you, man, whatever he did, it was gone. That 5,000 was it was worth it.
Yeah.
It was worth it. Now I got title insurance and I don't care what happened now.
No, and we ain't even gonna question that. We ain't even gonna question
we don't care. So it was there. So and like I said, the oversight was just, the people can really play around.
It was not good. That we had cops buying $1 million homes, like teachers buying $600,000, $700,000 homes back then, and the main thing they were using is these arm loans, right? To where, okay, this person doesn't qualify at the normal interest rate, but let's drop the interest rate to 0% or 0.2 for the first year. And then, second year, third year, fourth year, after you've already got the loan, it's going to go way up through the roof to where it's 7, 8%, 9%, because that's what they would have to charge you to qualify. And now you can't afford the house. But after 08 and after the new laws were put into place, right, the people that are buying the homes right now are more than qualified. Like, you've got to have pay stubs, you got to have your income statements, you have to have stable jobs. It's actually kind of hard to get a house right now. And that's why I feel comfortable with the prices going up, because the lending practices have changed. Those arm loans are not as prevalent unless you're investing in, a big commercial property, and you should know what you're doing if you're doing that.
But one thing that stays steady though, now is always just raising the capital, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because to be honest with you, when we doing a business this way, it's really no oversight, right? When you get these private there, like,
mm-hmm.
you don't need no W-2s. You just, you need this, your credit law, all right, and they'll let it go.
True.
Right? When you're doing on the business side, of course, when you get money from the government or these other loans, they want to go ahead and do that. But I was looking at it the other day, and after the lady spoke, when you said the average home is 500,000, say we is putting 20% down there. So you mean to tell me, which people really got 100,000 to just put down? You understand what I'm saying? And this is where big bank take little bank. And it's just like, wow.
And literally, this is the issue that I'm running into too, because I'm a realtor as well as an investor. And so I'm seeing it from both sides. So we're getting ready to list a house, one that I've been working on, my flipper partner. And that house is going to be listed hopefully by the end of this month. They just got it painted inside. We're just waiting for the rain to stop so we can paint the outside. And it's going to be crazy. I know as soon as we list it, there's going to be like 20 offers within the first week. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be awesome. But on the flip side, I've been working with 3 buyers. I'm thankfully able to get one of them finally under contract, but it took 4 weeks of offer. I got to say, we missed out on probably 10, and we went over asking, short contingency, all of that, and all of these. But because it was an FHA loan, people are like, no, we got conventional, we got cash, we got all these people. And they had options, and it's hard to get in. You got to go much higher than what I got in at. And I don't know that that's going to come down anymore. That surprised me too last week when she said, hey, the average selling price across the nation is $500K. I'm just like, man, I don't know. I don't even know how you come up with the 3.5% to 5% as a first time home buyer.
Yeah, you know, and like I said, three is good, but on the flip side, like she said, the thing is three. If you put 3.5, that's easy to get into. So we talking about that's 20, 30 on a five, you know, on a 400 or 300,000. That's not bad. That you know, you could get somebody to gift you some money, 6,000, you know, whatever
to get in.
To get in, that ain't no problem. But on the flip side, that price then balloons in your monthly payment. So it's an extra 300 to 400 for the duration of your whole mortgage. And by the time you said you paying on the back end.
It's
right?
true.
But the 20% or 15 or 10 or 5, you know what I mean? When you put it down in the conventional, like you just said, sometimes it drop off, you get it. Because you know, when I was talking to her, I kind of was aware about when you get a when you get it reappraised and you can just knock the thing off the premium insurance. But it's just like now that's $200 to $300 cheaper. So it's just like, what should I do? And it's like, I mean,
I think she gave expert advice, right? If you're able to put the 5% down, do that. To your point, then you can knock it off if your house goes up in value, or, you know, if you just continue paying. But if the choice is between, hey, I could put down 3.5% to get this house, or I'm not able to get in right now, I think you got to get in.
I'm gonna send you some. You know, I kind of read, like, I'm in Philadelphia, so I still be reading newspaper a little bit, the Tribune. But as far as businesses right now in the SBA, it's like a real incentive for Black people to get entrepreneurship. Like, the representation that we have is almost like 6% in the business field. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like right now, redlining is more wider than it was in the Jim Crow. Right?
Are you serious?
Seriously, you can look it up, right? Because it looked like we doing it, but we getting backdoor. Like, you know what I'm saying? Our applications, even if we qualify, we're not getting the money, which is the key. With the funding is the key. So right now, Philadelphia had introduced, and it still got to get passed, that they have a public bank. The kind of like even the playing field. And it's going to be targeted for Black people to get businesses. But I was on the SBA website today because I was just on it, and they got this website called Score. It's score.com. I got the website, but they got free mentors. They got incentives where they teaching people how to write
business plan?
write grants. I'm gonna send you the link. I think it's score.philadelphia, but if you push your zip code, it look like it's all over. So if you put in Atlanta, free mentorship workshops, they got volunteers. It's really good, and they really targeted African Americans and women, because the playing field is so rigged and is egregious on how we get denied a lot of funding, period. Like, our representation as far as Black owned businesses is we're not present. And it's knowledge. They know what's going on. I think Wells Fargo or somebody just got fined a lot of money. Like, it's going on. But it is different ways. Like, I'm gonna send you another one. It's about this lady. She was getting into creative ways where she used her insurance policy to get money. So instead of us giving $100,000 to get a loan, she'll get a policy, pay that up front, draw the money out, and she'll be paying it back in her insurance policy claim, but she'll get the money out, and it's like, you don't need no credit score, you don't need a lot. It's a lot. I don't have all the logistics, but I'm gonna send it to you. And this is other ways that it opened my mind, because I sell life insurance, and I'm like,
wait, you said you sell life insurance too?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
I did it for a minute. Yeah, because I was looking for policies, but I was always afraid, like, is this real? Where the money come from? I had a lot of questions. So I luckily, somebody who I went to school with, you know, they always recruiting.
Of
So I
course.
went with Prime America. I went to go get my steak just to read up on it. And I found out a lot of information. I started selling it because my plan was, it was a lot of people that was dying around where I'm from, and it's just like I'm tired of people just coming together, you know, doing fish fries, you know, the whole
Of
thing, and they
course.
can't really, you know, do it. So I found out annuities, and I was reading certain information where you can use these policies as collateral, you know, as your assets,
Yeah.
to say, hey, listen here, you know, I got a whole life policy. This worth 150,000. I'm gonna use this for collateral, and these people use it because that's money.
Yeah. And people will actually pay for that. It's almost like buying a note on a house. People will say, hey, this is actual money.
Yeah. So I'm a remind me this. I'm a
Please.
send it to you. And this was a lady. I mean, she giving away the game like for free, and she just stumbled on it because her parents died, and she just started figuring out how it worked. And
And
the way she broke it down, it was just amazing.
literally what I think I have it scheduled for later this year, but I don't know if you met John O'Brien. He was on this call one of these times, like a couple months ago. But he is a wealth manager, and specifically, he works through life insurance. So I'm going to bring him on one of these times to talk through it because it's one thing I'm still trying to discover as well. I want to understand it. I haven't gotten into the game at all with life insurance. I've heard it's like, hey, you can use it for investment, but I've stuck to the real estate that I know, and then stock, but very safe stock because I'm doing more risky stuff with real estate. Um, but when you look at the what you mentioned earlier, right, with this lady who is pulling from there instead of the banks, it's true, man. It's true for that, and it's true for even promotions within Fortune 500 companies, right? You notice that the
Mm.
board all looks the same, and it comes back to the old adage that people tend to hire or lend or work with or connect with people that look more like them, right? And so if you don't have that diversity even within the banks and within the leadership, it's very hard to not have some type of, whether it's concealed or open prejudice happening. It's very hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
And like with all that being said, and I think like, you know, especially like when you know, I know this podcast, even when it start going up rolling, I know it's two people. I know sometimes it's just us. Eventually, it's going to be rolling. But
Mhm.
the concept is really cool, you know, because if we all come together, you know, and put up 10 grand and put the 20% down, and we know that is going to sell and make a profit on there, we'll practically be kind of like debt free in a sense, you know, because we still using our money, and it's just that togetherness that we just got to try to get past, because, you know, us is, you know, us, we got trust issues, you know,
Yeah.
like I said, one of the things, we got trust issues. We always think we can't, like, we got to like the person to do business and everything like that. But you know, man, when you're doing business, you know, sometimes you just got, like, we trust people a lot more than that that we don't think. Like, I know we got a lot of trust issues, but you have to trust. It's just no way around it. Like,
It's
but
like
we
you
got
talked about, man,
trust.
the partnerships.
Yeah, you gotta do it. Partnerships and affiliations. That's key, and it's just like, and that's, you know, this game is so big, you can't. I mean, you're going to take your losses. So it's just like when you take it on all by yourself, sometimes this mindset can really take you down. It can really take you down. And me just reflecting, not putting it back on myself, but me just reflecting on, you know, because sometimes I ask, like, you know, I found my niche. Is, you know, like I'm okay because I'm at, you know, peace at where I'm at in the game. But
Mhm.
I was like, what's my niche? And it's the construction side, right? Because I'm burning a candle. And I'm like, yo, my affiliation, me knowing somebody, they taught me the game for free. So it's almost like I had to team up, because sometimes I'd be like, yeah, I'm doing it by myself. It's hard. But when I realized it, did I really? Okay, now I can identify, yo, that partnership was crucial. Like, I needed that. Like, this what I know. I didn't have to pay for it. It was just a relationship. Um,
And that's spot on, man. Like literally, even knowing yourself, knowing what niche you know, that you mentioned that you're in. You said for you, it's like, hey, I know how much it costs to do all this. I've done this by hand. I can understand that. Maybe I can manage a team, or if I need be, I can get down the trenches and get it done. For me, that was not the case, right? For me, my specialty is sales. Like I love sales, marketing, things of that nature, putting together PowerPoints, telling a story, and also pulling in investors and capital. And so
Mhm.
one of the reasons I wanted to move down here was, one, I wanted to get back to the Southeast, but two, you can ask my girlfriend, you can ask some of my friends when I was moving, I had it in my mind, hey, I want to partner up with a flipper or somebody that's more able to manage construction crews better than I can, right? And thankfully that's happened. And I have somebody down here because now all I'm focused on is pulling the capital in, whether it's my capital or other investors. And then I hand it off to her and she's able to go in. We're knocking out 3 projects right now. We just started another one, right? And now we're
Mm.
talking through another owner to get another one. But it's what you said, which is knowing what niche or what your strengths are and
Yeah.
playing to your strengths and partnering on the things that you're not as strong in.
Yeah, because when you got a, like you said, when you got a partnership, it don't matter if you know it or not. If you're on the same team, it's getting done. What difference does it make, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what you do is equally important. I can have all the skills in the world, but if I go in there and I don't move a person, it's like, what's the point? Like, if I can't articulate what I'm trying to say, if I can't make you feel comfortable, sometimes people need that, and the sales and the strategy is 2 different games, but when you put them together, it's so powerful because you cover 2 parts that's essential. So,
Agreed.
especially when you got a beautiful relationship and you trust people, it's like, it's still under the same team. We still getting the same done. Like we getting it done. So it's just like, you might not know the construction, but you know the right people to do it. And it's just, that's equivalent. It's equivalent. If I can go to somebody and get it done, it's equivalent.
Come on
And it's
now.
less off my back.
Yeah, and it frees me up because believe me, man, I've done that. I've managed contractors, and I don't know how you or she does it because it's yeah, it's a lot.
No, it's like you said, you like, for example, somebody else said this and it makes sense. And like, sometimes I might not have all the cool sayings and the phrases, but when people say it, I pick up on it. I'm like, yo, exactly, y'all articulated how I wanted to do it. But people often, they're gonna want our lifestyle. They're gonna see you with the 25 unit, they're gonna see you managing, they're gonna see you doing a real estate, and they want that. But it's like, do you understand the sacrifice that we gotta make? And one of the downsides when you doing the hard labor and the construction, you sacrifice a whole lot. I sacrificed a ton, personal and professionally. But this the hard hat that we wear. But it's like, when you want to be successful, you have to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice. There's no way around it. When you said you played football, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you look like a pretty strong guy. That's a lot of hours in the weight room. You know what I mean? You ain't really got too much time partying. You ain't
no,
really got too much time to focus. When you dedicated to a craft, and that's across the whole board. That discipline, and it comes with a lot of sacrifices. And if a person can make them sacrifices, they increases their chances a whole lot of just being successful. And it don't have to be. I tell people this all the time. Don't turn on this Instagram and social media and think that we make millions of dollars off this. It
mm-mm.
don't work that way. It don't work that way. It don't work that way.
And to your point, and Ahize, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you. How you guys doing?
Super good, super good. We're just having a whole mental session right here, and I want
I
to pick
hear. Okay.
and piggybacking off of what Rahdeem just said. I think one of the best examples is when you look at somebody like The Rock, right? Who's ripped, dude's like 45, 50, but he's still crazy. He could probably go play football right now. Um, People see that and they're like, hey, I want that body. I want to look like that, right? But you don't realize that this dude's bringing a gym with him wherever he travels to, right? He goes to Kirk's and Caicos or whatever. He's got a whole gym, a whole training team. He's probably eating raw eggs every morning. It's like, do you actually want to do that? Do you want to put in the sacrifice to get that end goal? And it's okay to say no. It's okay to be somewhere lower on that spectrum, but just understand that and set your day up to put in the sacrifice that you are willing to do. He's switching gears. What you up to in your life? How was well, go ahead.
No, I said, hey there. Yeah.
Two things. One, were you able to successfully get through the short-term rental ordinance application?
Yes, we actually got approval today.
Wow. Congrats.
Yeah, we just got it today. They did, so we still need to get an inspection completed, because I don't know if I didn't tell you, but they didn't they didn't ask for it. It's really weird, but I said we still need to do it. So because we had the fire marshal came out on Monday, did an inspection, but there were items on there that still needed to be done. So we, did those. So they're coming back on Friday. So I was surprised we got the approval today without them asking for that. But I know a lot of times after the fact, they'll be like, okay, where's that? Where's your inspection, your approved inspection?
So to that point, because I've gone back and forth with them a couple of documents, but do you have to have a fire marshal come out there do you have to do that?
No. But yeah, people, because there's no way, did I lose, did you guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's no way in the world anybody would know all of this stuff. Like, no matter if it's on, the application and all of that, it had to be us getting sent back a couple of times saying, okay, you need to do this and you need to do this. And it's like, why isn't it clear?
It's not. So, honestly, I don't know how they're going to be able to enforce this, but I do know once they get it figured out, a lot of these B&Bs are going to shut down and it's going to increase our demand. But you said you have to get a fire marshal?
We did for South Fulton, yeah. Like, that's part of the steps on the process. So, and It was really easy. You just email, there's a email that you have to send to them. And then like within 2 days, they called and scheduled an appointment, and the lady came out and she was so nice. Because like, even like exit signs, right? Who knew you would have to have exit signs above each door that leads to the outside that illuminate in the dark? So it pretty much needs to glow in the dark. You have to have evacuation maps on each bedroom door that basically says, hey, you are here and here are the exits. These are window exits and all of that. Your fire extinguisher, it cannot be like the residential fire extinguisher. It has to be the commercial one, and it has to be put on, on a wall or something. And then another company called FireX has to come out and give you the tag that goes on the fire extinguisher. And they have to come every year to re-inspect it.
This is, so I'm hoping that I'm not in South Fulton with the properties because I didn't see that. All of that was, I didn't see that on my website. Did you see all that listed there, or they just came back to you and said, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that?
Yeah, they came back to us and said, hey, you need to get an inspection.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's how we knew, like, okay, now we need to get an inspection. They sent we sent the email, but they haven't asked for the inspection. So I'm like, this is really weird. Like, you told us we have to get it, but now you gave us our license, but you didn't ask for it.
I would not question it. I would just post that license number, but at least you have it, right, as a backup.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know if I need a call because I don't have the exit signs. I don't have the illumination. The fire extinguisher is just one of the small ones you get off of Amazon. So.
Yeah. And see, you probably have the wrong one because we had the wrong fire extinguishers. We had the one, it has a plastic handle. So look at your fire extinguisher. If it has a metal handle, silver metal handle, that's the right one. But it has to have a tag on it as well to say that it was inspected. So I'll send you like what it looks like.
Please.
What I'm talking about.
Yeah, this is.
But just in case, like, I wouldn't really, rock the boat, but just in case, I would say have those things because they can pop up and do an inspection, and give you 24-hour notice and just, whatever.
And at that point, you're in trouble because this is heading into summer. I've got guests booked back to back right now. I think I will.
Correct.
So okay, where'd you get your exit signs? Where'd you get your exit signs from?
I'll send you all of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll send you all of that. Yeah.
He's
I'll send you
you're
the
awesome.
links, and they were really pretty.
This is one of the benefits of joining, right? Is you get to hear some information, because I thought I was in the clear. I was like, okay, I sent all the documents. They responded, say, hey, you need this, that. I've given them more documents. But this piece, yeah, especially as we're getting close to the end of the month,
Yeah.
this is the piece that's needed.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And if people haven't started yet, I'm worried, because like you said, they'll say, oh, you need these other documents. It's like, well, how come this wasn't clear before? You know?
They're new. They're still trying to figure it out. I'm all I keep looking at is, I know you're a part of some of these Facebook groups too, but I see so many people that are either selling their house because it was just or they are looking to liquidate everything in their apartment. And I'm just like, okay. For me personally, though, the next house I buy is going to be either, in like a East Point or a College Park or a Marietta or a Decatur. I'm going to go just outside the city to have less stringent rules as opposed to this.
Yeah. I know. I don't know, because Marietta's in Cobb, so I know they were voting on something. Well, that was a couple months ago, so I don't know.
Just pushed
January.
They pushed it to next year, and what they proposed is not as strict as what is in place now here. I think they're talking about, hey, you've got to get it registered, and then once a year you got to pay like a $75 fee or something like that. But it's not, you have to, at least what I've seen isn't, hey, you have to live in Cobb County, right? You've got to live in Marietta or anything like that I've seen.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Outside of that, what else are you working on? Are you still looking and searching for that next property?
We are. So we're trying to, so we probably have come up with, trying to be like under 300, just for, just to make sure that we can cover costs and stuff. And, like I heard you talking about investors and capital, and that's what we're trying to figure out. Like, how can we do this and not have to invest all of our own cash, So we hear that a lot, that people have investors, and we're like, okay, well, how do you do that?
So for me, it's all about talking first to your network, those that know what you're doing, those that are following kind of your journey, because I know you post about it, and kind of coming to individuals and saying something to the effect of, hey, have you ever thought about getting into short-term rentals, right? And people can invest in one of two ways. Either one, they could be a true 50-50 partner where they're working a W-2. I don't know if you heard it earlier, but me and Rahdeem were talking about entrepreneurs versus, working that regular W-2. And there's nothing wrong with either, right? There's a risk on both sides. But typically those that are working a W-2, they hear about real estate and they're like, hey, I want to get in, but I don't know where I'd find the time. And those are the people you want to think about in your network to start having conversations with. And they can do one of two things. Either they can be a debt investor for you, where they give you funds, and then on a set date, you're going to pay that back to them plus, 10%, 12%, whatever you guys work out, right? And that's typically what I help bring in for some of the flips that we're working on. By the way, if you haven't swung by 50-50 Campbellton in a while, you got to swing back over there. It's moving along pretty quickly. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, I gotta go.
So that's one way. And another way is to partner fully to where you become 50-50 partners. That person would handle the down payment. They'd also handle putting their credit and things of that nature. So it's not touching you and your partner, but then you guys would handle the furnishing costs and then handle the full management. And then at the end of the day, split the profit 50-50 and just make sure that you're on title as well, so that you're both 50-50 partners after they close.
Okay.
Those are two ways I've explored and worked on.
Okay. Yeah, so I have to talk to you more about that.
Please. Absolutely. I think that's one of the quickest ways to grow.
Yeah. I see a lot of people do it, man. They do a lot. Like I seen a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. It's like, what you want? Hey, yo, you got money sitting there. Hey, listen here. You think what you want? Like, I had people come up to me and say, hey, what you want back on your money? You just letting it sit there. Let me use it, because investor always gonna want to use your money. And I used to say, no, I want to get it. I want to be 50-50, but they turn me away when I start talking like that because they old people. Yeah, they some people want it all, and I'll be like, nah, I want to be lockstep. But they like, nah, we just need this to get here, and we'll give your money back at this time. But I was like, nah, I just wait till we be a little more.
And that's the difference with like a long-term rental. Go ahead, sorry. You said bring it.
No, I said we need you then. Let me talk to Rahdeem.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between like a long-term rental versus short-term. Because with the short-term rentals, there's more meat on the bone to be like, hey, let's do a partnership. Plus, if you were to do that, the person that is investing from out of state or investing from at least 50 miles away can get better lending terms. You can put down as little as 10% on a vacation loan, right? So a $400,000 house now, or what you mentioned, a $300,000 house now is just 30K instead of 60K. And both of you get what you want, which is kind of a cool way.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what we did. And luckily they approved it because, I'm local. And so we both went on the mortgage together, but because we kind of fed it, based on her being in LA, and that's, this was her vacation home. So we only have to put 10% down. So yeah, speaking to what you said, I know they won't let me do that again.
No. And was there a reason that you wanted to go on the mortgage too?
I guess there wasn't. I don't know what the reason was. I think I just thought I needed to, just because we were doing 50-50, and how else could I, guarantee that I'm a 50-50 partner, So I don't know. Like, I wasn't really, I'll be honest, like it was our first time doing something like that. So we probably weren't as knowledgeable to know that.
No, you need to be on a title. I did a deal, and I did a deal, and I put a guy on the title, and he didn't pay me no money. But it's like survivorship. It's a lot of little different elements that you need, because they get wild. I will always be on the title.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, you could be on the title, but not necessarily on the mortgage, is what you're saying.
That's
right?
the key difference. Yes.
Yeah.
You can have one person on the mortgage, and then immediately you guys have documents and agreement. You get put on the title, and the title is what matters. The mortgage tied to one person, so it's not hitting both your debt to incomes, because I think they hit them both at the same time for the same amount. So you don't have to do that for the next one.
Yeah. Okay.
But Ahize and Rahdeem, and Ahize, you got to listen to Rahdeem's episode when it comes out in a couple weeks, because he does talk through.
Did I sound all right?
Come on, now, hey, it was fire, man.